You start with there's no, if you do a scripted intro, you just say, Mandem, welcome.
Mandem, welcome to tmbc.now. This time I've taken over Cyrus's role because man's getting a bit old, and I gotta chip in for the unks. What's happening?
It's not really a role. It's about time you start putting your fucking weight around here.
Yeah, man's rusty.
We're gonna hop on the AC discussion bandwagon. I've got no AC here, so man's sitting in boxes here. So yeah, because of no AC, I can't really be bothered to do any introductions. So you can just take over from now on.
Yeah, I got AC over here. Elite. It was 40 degrees over the weekend in Berlin, in Germany.
I'm going to say something that might offend you, or some listeners. I might get cancelled for this. So you obviously know last episode when we recorded, I was in southern Italy with some old dusty MacBook, no microphone, shittest setup I've ever done podcasting on, but it's fine. This is the unscripted side of the barbell of media. But I was in Italy, of course, and you have some connections to Italy. We'll leave it there. You've been a lot. You've been quite a few trips. Everyone obviously talks about Italian food, amazing, and then they say the coffee is shit. It's burnt. It's like burnt cereal. It's horrific, right? You hear the same things. Food amazing, coffee shit.
Yeah.
I'll get cancelled for this. I don't give a shit. Food was I ate everywhere, from the best restaurants to the nonna's hole in the wall to the local recommendation where I did the whole shebang. You can't fucking at me when it comes to doing the good eating.
Oh god.
Food was generally dead. Italian food is dead. You can snip at that. And then in contrast, Italian coffee was elite. So whatever the normies tell you, fuck the normies. Man's on the strip in southern Italy. And that's my review of southern Italy.
That's a shit take. I think it's a skill issue. Oh my god. Let me take it to the proper parts of Italy. But yeah. What were we discussing?
Or we go chicken and chips in the ends. I prefer that to Italian food.
£1.50 free wings and chips. Rest in peace. But yeah.
I think it's time for what was that?
This video is sponsored by us. Oh, this show is brought to you by us. Rational.school. Learn how to hack the career and get hired at the world's best companies. And also, this video is sponsored by Parsa.io. Well, it's brought to you by Parsa.io, me, the world's leading blog on robotics and machine learning. I think I'm filling in your shoes pretty well now.
Don is becoming a generalist. He's got the technical skills down. Now he's getting the bizarre sales skills down.
Come on.
Call him a Susami knife. All right, come on, G. What are you telling me?
All good. Again, some robotic stuff I want to discuss today. I want to discuss about good old engineering. There's a problem. There's this kind of problem in robotics. It's been like this for the past year or so, I think, where people are overhyping or getting so hyped over VLA models, like the policies that are driving these robots. So robot learning in general, but people aren't really focused on the actual robotics of it. For example, just classic kinematics, motion planning, Jacobian, just anything classical robotics, basically, all robotics per se. And I've personally noticed this myself in my day-to-day work. So for context, I work as a robotics engineer at a startup, and we're working on a generalist model. And essentially, so when I joined, I kickstarted the robotics stuff with the team. And at the beginning, I was really hyped around all of these policies, like everyone else. You get so excited about physical intelligence, generalist AI, skilled AI. They all push out these papers, and it's all very exciting. But they don't actually.
Basically, sexy.
Yeah, it's like very sexy.
Blockchain 8 years ago. It's very sexy.
It's a very sexy topic to get so bogged down with.
Sexy, mexy, huh?
Fuck's sake. Let me do. Wait. So
basically, go on, land.
So basically, you can't do robotics without doing robotics, is what I'm trying to say. So I've kind of gone back to basics, and now I'm learning and going through the core of robotics. And that's also meant that I had to kind of reevaluate my maths, so what I was studying. I wrote a blog post when I first joined on the different topics I'm learning.
What were you studying, just in like a 10-second snippet? Was it like statistics, algebra?
Linear algebra, statistics, and on the math side, very little on the math side, mostly on
Calculus?
Calculus, I mean, it's a prerequisite, yeah. Calculus, derivatives, and also mostly deep learning and some robotics. I shared this robotics course by MIT by someone called Russ T. Drake, and going through it was fine, but I wasn't really feeling like the need to actually learn it. But then now, 4 months in, while going through all of this, I'm like, oh shit, I actually need to learn all of these, kind of all the robotics concepts. There's this really good talk by this kind of veteran in engineering, computer science, called Ken Goldberg. He's a professor at Berkeley, and he has this very good talk where he shares that we have a 100,000-year data gap in robotics, and that it's going to be very hard to close that. So for context, why 100,000 years? Well, if you look at like some of the frontier models, like the open source models from like Alibaba, so Alibaba's Quen, they have 1.2 billion hours of data, and that amounts to 100,000 years roughly, right? So a top of like a state-of-the-art LLM model that just generates tokens, text. That's where we're at right now. So we scraped all the data from the internet, but when it comes to robotics, we don't have anything close to that. The closest we have is 1 year's worth of robotics data, which is from Physical Intelligence, which they published in 2024. So we have this issue where we're not even close to state of the art, where we want to deploy these robots out in the wild. And there are a lot of different proposals, architectures when it comes to like simulation, but simulation is only, well, so far simulation's been very good at locomotion. So just, walking around, for example, Boston Dynamics uses it pretty heavily. You just cut out Cyrus for some reason.
I'm with you.
All right. So is your camera on? Oh, there you go, you're back. So essentially we have this issue with simulation not being good enough. So it's essentially, it's only good for locomotion. But when it comes to grasping, which is a much harder problem, teaching a robot to know where the different grasp points are. So if you have this, if you have this bottle, right, you want to know which is the best point to grasp. I mean, this is a pretty standard shape, right? It's all uniform. It's very easy. But if you have something a bit weirder, like a plushie or whatever, then that's when the problems arise in simulation, because the tech is just not there yet to generate such vast amounts of data for diverse grasping points. And the same guy, Ken Goldberg, a couple of years ago, I think before 2020, had this paper where they kind of gathered a bunch of different objects. So they gathered a bunch of CAD files of objects with very easy to grasp, very hard to grasp, and they would create kind of point clouds on these objects, and then it will kind of be like a green point or red point, and then they created this algorithm. No fancy AI or anything, no fancy transformers or anything like that. Just a very simple, very lightweight policy running, just a very simple neural network running, where it would in a basket of items, it would look at with just one camera, look at the item. It would pinpoint one, so segment it. It will kind of with the algorithm kind of get an idea of the object shape, and then generate this point cloud estimation. And then it would then look at where the green points are and then grasp it. And it will do this in 1 second. And I found it fascinating because I think it goes to show that you don't really need you don't need a lot of data to do things like this. You just need kind of clever math. I mean, it's the reason why people are so hyped around these policies is because a lot of them are already deployed out there in open source. We have open sourced the robotics models. A lot of them are The physical intelligence one is open sourced already, so you can inspect it, you can fine tune it yourself. So it's very easy to do. It's kind of easy to just, it's not easy, but a lot of the things that goes to actually actuating those motors is the hard part, and people don't want to deal with that. So I feel like we're going to see kind of like a regression in the next few months, where people kind of step back from VLAs and kind of think more in terms of actual hardcore robotics. So I agree with I agree with the talk. And I think the old timers just know what's up. You know, like these guys, actually from this paper, they spinned up a whole company around it called Ambi Robotics. I think it's called Ambi. And they're working in like, it works in like DHL, Amazon, Bezos even like personally came to see a demo of it, and he was very impressed. And it's working. It's just classical robotics. It doesn't have anything crazy going on. So let's see what happens. I don't know if you know much about this, Cyrus. Like, what do you think?
My question is basically regarding the hype that you mentioned in the space, because there is, I put a tweet just now in our Signal chat you might want to open up, which is internet friend of Iman and I. Yeah, internet friend of Iman and I. Probably, in my view, one of the best emerging managers, young VCs in the space, solo. Fellow Iranian in the US, and Aryan. So his tweet, I don't know if you can actually pull up the tweet if you don't have the facilities, big man.
I don't have the facilities for that, big man. It's a low budget pod, bro.
Next show you'll have the facilities.
Yeah.
But basically he says, and maybe we can link it.
I'll put it up on the screen in post.
It's basically A16Z put out a tweet saying VC interest in robotics is surging, and charts of the week, which is robotics VC deal activity by quarter, is like absurdly high compared to, it's like 4-5x of previous quarters, something absurd.
Yeah.
And then Aryan's commentary, which I won't read the whole thing, but it says, a conclusion to draw here is that robotics is in a bubble and oversaturated, but I think this conclusion misses how the dollars are actually being allocated. Conclusions 1 and 2 are true for essentially 3 categories of robotics. And then the 3 conclusions are: number 1, general purpose hardware. Number 2 is robot brain, air quotes. And number 3 is fixing robot training problem, data algos, etc. These 3 categories are also perceived to have future $100 billion plus outcomes. He obviously knows a lot. He's at the frontier. Iman and I have known Aryan online for several years. We've spoken to him before. So he knows his shit. But what do you like? My view is, well, every couple of robotics, someone like Aryan was into robotics years ago, before it was like the cool hot thing. Just like sometimes you come across Donnies who are doing AI/ML 15 years ago, 10 years ago. You're working in robotics. What's your view of the current landscape? We obviously know more and more, because what's happened is with the LLMs, traditional SaaS is basically fucking kaput. No one's allocating dollars there. So then where are people allocating dollars? Well, the AI train is kind of almost, people are kind of over that. Some VCs, a lot of VCs, because they can see, how do I word it? It's like they can see the saturation there. They can't see yet the saturation in robotics. It's kind of like when they say in a newspaper, you read a stock tip and then people go and pile into it. It's obviously too late to pile into it because I fucking read it in the paper. But the point is, people are like, oh, I'm still early. I just read it in a paper, right? So VCs piling into robotics is the same thing. They read thought pieces or niche blog essays by people like Aryan, who are very, very, write very thoughtful stuff, have expertise on the topic. But then people read it and like, oh shit, it's time to get into robotics. But buddy, it's a bit too late. You don't have a credible name in that space. Why would a robotics founder go and raise from you when you're not creme de la creme expert robotics VC for several years with expertise in the area? So the view is it's the same thing. It's the same thing as like a stock where people pile in too late, but they think they're early. So a lot of VCs now are piling in for that reason, because SaaS is dead. They kind of understand now. It's like this cycle where you look at a chart. We're at that 5th phase of the chart, the last phase, the decline, where they're like, all right, VC dollars into AI should probably not be allocated, minus obviously the big names, which everyone piles into, but new names, I'm seeing a lot less might be wrong, but I'm seeing a lot less fundraising announcements where they're doing like AI for lawyers, AI for fucking customer service, AI for whatever, because there are already a few players in each segment solving problems. And now VCs realize pile into robotics, but they're only doing that because A, they have nothing else left to really figure out, B, to fund, B, it's mimetic because they read thought pieces and like, oh, it's time to get into robotics, but it's too late. And 3, it's kind of like just like the reason that they are VCs in the first place, which is they obviously don't know how to think for themselves, the majority of them. It's that same reason that they're like, oh, I should probably invest in robotics, right? Because you know yourself, you've been fortunate to interact with VCs a lot less than I have. But I've said it before. I mean, I think I tweeted once, like, there's only like 3 or 4 VCs that I respect, and one of them is Ariane that I wrote on the tweet. I think it was ages ago I wrote this tweet. But pretty much everyone else in VC is some sort of charlatan fraud waste man.
Do you remember what you said in the episode 1?
Yeah. I view all humans as equal, but VCs as below me. That's my tagline, basically. And like, why did Rational VC even come about 6 years ago? The name Rational VC is an oxymoron. And like the first essays we wrote, it was really exposing a lot of the BS in the space, which people are aware of, but they like to just play the game. Munger would talk a lot about this in his annual meetings, where he would just shit on, similar to private equity, what the VC space has become, which is people are earning management fees regardless of their performance, which is no skin in the game. But we have a good paragraph which explains how Iman and I think about VC investing on rational.fund. It's genuinely not a plug, but there's like, if you want to go read how we think about these things. But anyway, fucking hell, all of that to basically say, what do you think regarding these matters in robotics as someone who's, I'll tell you what I think from the outside, but you're on the inside of robotics.
I mean, I agree with the Arian tweet. Like, there are generally 3 categories across robotics. And a lot of the people piling in on this are, everyone's basically become a data collection company. Like, every other day I see a new data collection company for robotics come up, and they always try to pitch it like there's some very novel thing. And a lot of it does come from the US, which is fair. Like, in the EU, I don't see much going on really. Like there is hardcore robotics in, Zurich and Munich, but that's mostly on the research side.
It's because of the universities.
Because from the universities, yeah, exactly. So like
TUM and ETH Zurich.
Exactly. But the thing is, when it comes to actual products, they haven't productized anything really. There is one company that I know in Zurich that is actually basically doing generalist robotics as well. They're mostly focused on humanoids, on locomotion, and they're focusing a lot on making like a Unitree G1 have really good locomotion. So that's the good thing about hardware getting much cheaper over the past few years. It's kind of unlocked this door for even Europors to get in on the train. But to be fair, it's not like they haven't always been in the lead when it comes to hardware. Germany and Switzerland, they have so much potential. That's the thing. The thing that bothers me as well is the US has all of the capital is basically just flooding into the US, but none of it. Like, I rarely see any interesting announcements coming from Germany, from Europe in general. Paris is also really big in robotics, but then again, that's mostly on the brain side, on the intelligence side. So there's UMA Robotics, I think it's called, founded by one of the co-creators of the robot Hugging Face. So it's a pretty big lab. They employed a bunch of people, like less than 20 people, I think, or something like that. I remember that's when they started. But they have a lot of potential. But again, it's just mostly just the intelligence.
It's basically
research.
Comes down to 2 things in Europe, as you say. But it comes down to 2 things: as it's policies and culture.
Policies and culture. It's really been a big topic on my mind recently. This whole kind of not caring attitude when it comes to hardware and robotics and whatnot. I don't know. I feel like a lot of there are a lot of people working on EU, but then again, a lot of a lot of the research focus is still shifted towards the intelligence aspect of it. But then when it comes to the actual core robotics side of things, not much. I mean, universities are teaching it, that's for sure. I've been looking at this one from ETH, but then it only does like one. It only has like one class on core robotics, and the rest of it is just robot learning essentially. So I don't know. But then if you go to the US, it's everything, the whole stack. So yeah, but when it comes to software,
I'd argue the talent
the talent is there. They all go to the
in
US.
this alpine region of the ETH
Munich and
to Munich
TM,
corridor.
yeah.
It's basically better than I think that. Well, this is another hot take potentially, but I think the talent here is better than the US per
Like
capita.
density wise, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and the ability of the people, but of those working on these like harder problems. But the issue is multitude, which we could go into really is around policy. When I say policy, I don't mean just like fucking, I don't know, legislation or about incorporating a company, which there's obviously Andreas Klinger, who's worked on the EU Inc. proposal because of the fragmented market across Europe to have one entity that works across all of the EU as like an EU Inc., as the name suggests, which he's worked on successfully with great effort. But my point is not around stuff like that. It's around just everything to do with policy. Because, as you say, like people are leaving and going to America just because their fundraising is easier. Why is fundraising easier? Because policies here, for example, if you build something successfully, the level of taxation, or the policy on your employees, right? I'm one for being a Monish Maxer, but if you're a founder trying to build something of substance in hard tech, deep tech, and you want to have just a team of 10, 20 employees, well, guess what? Like, if they're a shit performer, that will crush your entire company. They're an early hire, but you can't really fire them like you could in the US. I'm against obviously the whole firing culture. I'm pretty well known for being advocate of Monish Maxing, but I'm an advocate of that for medium, large companies, especially corpo fucks as I call them, because I despise corporations. But for young startups, that's just someone's baby, basically. That's someone's life's work. I never advocate Monish Maxing in those places, especially when it's something of substance, which is hard tech, deep tech, a la Taleb talking about in Skin in the Game, which is rationality equals survival. And a lot of these are companies that are aiding future survival, right? It's very much an act of skin in the game, of working on these harder problems, in my view. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them that I've seen. And so what am I getting at? It's a noble act, and these companies should be respected. So one early shit hire could crush the entire company. They should have the ability to get rid of shit employees. They should have the ability to, well, now with Andres' help, to incorporate a company easily. They should have the ability to pay very low or even no tax when you're building something of, like, when you're paying yourself a salary and you're working 18 hours a day and your salary is really low. And then there's someone who's fucking, I don't know, consultant in some shitty German GmbH Corpo earning triple your salary that you're paying yourself as a founder eating ramen.
Yeah.
Well, it needs to be respected. But like all the bureaucracy, the endless paperwork. I mean, there are other people who could talk at length and cry about this shit. There's been so many Twitter threads from deep tech founders in Germany specifically who are like, fuck, they basically had enough and left. Switzerland is a bit more business friendly, but they have their issues too, of course. So question is, how do we create an environment where people stay within Europe? That's not an answer. That's not something for us to answer at all, because there's no point answering it, because it's not going to get fixed. One thing I've learned is to stay away from politics entirely. It's basically IYIs, intellectual yet idiots. In these positions. So it's not for us to answer. There's a lot of clarity on what needs to be done, but of course it's not going to be done due to corruption, and a lot of this is, as some would say, like mafia states, basically. So
like you just gotta
like
be.
Germany's model is around the whole like Mittelstand, being an employee. It's not created for, and I could run the numbers, and obviously I want to hear your thoughts, but I could get into the topic so deeply in like Germany specifically, where if you're trying to be self-employed, the incentives are structured in such a way where you either have to earn peanuts under 25k because of less paperwork, less VAT, less healthcare costs, etc., or you have to earn above 150k. And for most self-employed people, like the first year or two of business, you're doing somewhere in between that, if you're doing a good self-employment. So you're basically getting absolutely fucking crushed. And then the recent policy that they passed in Germany where you have to make mandatory pension contributions, which before was not a thing. And then obviously if you're like, let's say you hit six-figure mark as a self-employed person, you've got to be paying $1,200 per month on health insurance alone. You've got no choice. Public health insurance, you can't get out of it. These are just like scratching the surface. You basically get fisted from any angle possible. And then when they run out of holes to fist, they just drill new holes and start fisting those. And then you just turn into this integrated flesh, basically. Dame dash pause. So I could talk about that at length, but that brings us onto the topic of like Copenhagen, Munich, Europe, lifestyle optimization, jurisdiction optimization, which is a topic that you and I obviously discuss a lot. I've obviously nerded out about this shit since a young age, since I was a fucking refugee. You could basically say we're looking for where can you live that's better, and it still continues to this day. Man's always optimizing for legal entities, structures, all of this stuff. Like where's the best place to not only have a elite quality of life, but also business policy friendly.
Hold on. Before you do though, I have something to say.
What's that?
This show is brought to you by us, Rational.school, the best platform to hack the hiring game and secure the best jobs. 90% successful rate.
90% plus.
90% plus placement rate. And brought to you by Parsa.io. The world's best TM, technical blog on robotics and machine learning. But yeah, sorry, you were saying about Copenhagen.
Yeah, you told me you went to Copenhagen.
Yeah. So
I've obviously been a few times. I've been to Copenhagen, and I told you, I've been in the winter, and I told you I love it.
Yep.
And you always said you loved it too.
I always loved it.
And I always said I'd love to go in the summer, but then I was like, I'm not going to spend time in the summer going to fucking Copenhagen when you could just go to the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
But you've been in the summer, you've spent some time, you've gone for work, and you told me you didn't like it, so that's quite interesting. And then I could explain.
Yeah.
You got to choose your regrets. I could explain other options about Europe.
When I say I don't like it, it comes with a lot of caveats. Doesn't mean I don't like the whole city. There are some aspects of it that really get on my nerves. And this might be a bit because I come from London. Okay, so.
Come on, G.
Come on. Brr. Anyways. Shout out Lucian. No, I'm kidding. Lucian, some ends. Anyways. But yeah, basically, so I was there in Copenhagen about 2 weeks ago for work to meet up with my other teammates and my CEO. And one thing that I know, first of all, fucking hell, mate, it is expensive in that city. I mean, okay, so this is my third time going to Copenhagen. I've been twice before. First time was in the winter. Second time was in kind of like spring, and it was for a bachelor party. But this is my third year in a row, and it was in the summertime, and it was hot. I mean, it was like the hottest you can probably get, which is like 26 degrees. But anyways, there were three things that pissed me off, and I also think it's because I got ill when I was there. I had a pretty bad fever. And I jumped into the water and I made it worse for some reason, but it was a good experience. Anyways, things are so fucking expensive. Like I got this, like some hipster gyros for like 20 euros. I was like, mamma mia, fucking hell.
And it's slop food as well.
It was slop food. I'm putting up the picture on the screen. It's so arse cheeks, bro. And then
those things they say about corpo slop bowl, which is
like corpo slop bowl, yeah.
It's like when I was in banking, what people would eat. This is the equivalent. It's like become a monoculture that's spread everywhere, basically.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I feel like we've gone on it's a small tangent. We're going to get into the meat of it. So you can see where I'm coming from. But basically, I asked Donnie in a very polite way, like I normally do everywhere I go to get food. I was like, yo, bro, could you add some extra chicken or something? Just like in a nice way.
That's me everywhere.
Always gonna ask. But the guy was not having it. Like, the guy was like, but you have to pay more. And then, like, I was like, brother, it's like, I'm already paying 20 euros. You can just slide in like a... Anyways, Okay, that's not that deep. This is not the first time. I do this everywhere I go. I'm a bit annoying, but like in London, oh my god, same place. I mean, first of all, this is a hipster place compared to like proper boss man. You know, I'm speaking like 10 languages. I'm speaking English, Kurdish, Afghan, Farsi, and shit, Arabic, Turkish. I don't know. Anyways, like I went to another place in Copenhagen, same shit. I was like to the lady, can I get some more chicken? And she was like, no, but you can get another naan bread. I'm like, I looked at him like, I asked for protein and it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Anyways, that's one thing. Basically, the point I'm trying to get at is that everything is so like in this box. Everything is so like perfect, so bland.
It's a monoculture of slop, of enshittification, of blandness. That's what it is.
The thing is, like it wasn't everywhere. Like there were, I went to this kind of like a residential area where there's like a bunch of houses, absolutely beautiful. Well, like that's when it's like families and stuff. Anything when it relates to family, when it relates to just in general like a good living, I was really stunned. I was like, this is the way of living. But as soon as I touched the kind of like enshittification part, the whole hipster part, it was like, no, you have to, you know, or like anything where I try to like kind of warp the world, like use my own free will, like I normally do everywhere else, it just falls flat on my face. Maybe it's because I'm some immigrant and these men, you know, don't give a shit. Fair enough. I always,
you know what you need to do? You need to wear the British passport on a chain like Tony Yayo. He wears his passport.
Oh my god!
Passport gang.
The thing I love in any country is where they try to speak to us like in a rude way or something, and I turn around and I put on the most British accent possible, and then they kind of like start to respect you a little bit more. Like, oh shit, you know. Anyways,
all right. So Copenhagen shit because of shit food, stinginess.
I could have said that.
And monoculture and shittification.
But also one thing regarding work as well is there is a lot of like there's a lot of prominent VCs, a lot of fund. There's some companies there for sure that came. I mean, like in terms of big companies, there's Novo Nordisk, which is basically the entire Danish economy. If that collapses, I think Denmark is done for. I mean, it's a joke, but a lot of my Danish friends say that. But anyways, when it comes to actual like hardware, for example, I didn't see anything really besides my own the company I work for. But then again, like the personal life and family is so prioritized to the point where it kind of like if you want to do something, and it's a whole culture. Where if you want to break out of this kind of socialist bubble or this kind of system, you're actually you're kind of like outcasts in their eyes. There's a word for it. It's called Rindelau or Rundelau. It's a Danish word. I'm butchering it. Apologies to anyone Danish, but it's this whole thing where like if you're someone who is going against the system, people will be like, "Oh, you think you're better than this. You think you're better than the system. Who do you think you are?" And that's kind of like made Danish people kind of close off. I had this really good conversation with my CEO. He's Danish and like it's this whole thing where he kind of doesn't fit in like with the other Danes, for example. It's this whole thing where like if you're CEO,
there are a couple of Danes who are well known in like let's say the entrepreneur space who have left. One is I think DHH.
DHH, yeah, like people like this Danes
who
just don't fit like other Danes.
We should also bring on the show. We're discussing obviously Europe. Location maxing, if you want.
I know who you're gonna say.
Optimization, whatever. Which is it's a Twitter friend of mine actually, Nicola Amadeo, I believe is how you pronounce it. Which is he runs Euro Top Tech, and he gives a lot of good tweets. You should follow. We'll bring him on in one of the upcoming weeks. Actually, I'll give him a message at some point. But yeah, he covers a lot around. Like over analysis, like I thought I was really bad in terms of OCD and the rabbit hole research. This guy, he earns his living by doing this basically. It's elite level research, and he'll go to lots of different cities like Warsaw. He'll go to like countries such as Croatia, Italy, his home country. He lives in Switzerland, I believe. Goes all over the place, Spain, and then he just gives his review of like from tax perspective, lifestyle quality, because where you live, like what's important, a whole bunch of shit, including ability to build a family, like access to healthy food, organic food, cost of living, business friendliness, policies, taxation, like it goes on and on safety, crime, goes on. And so he provides very good analysis. And one thing I realized from my own analysis that he kind of confirmed with his even more in-depth analysis, and also another Danish guy actually is funny enough, which I've seen Nicola tweet a few times and I've interacted with a little bit. Awesome Danish founder, very good tweets actually about like if you want to call it indie hacking solopreneurship. His name is Simon Højberg, I think. And so he left Denmark too, and he tried the whole, because I was thinking for a while, but I was like, what about Spain? Spain's good because I'm all about maximizing sun. I come from the south of Iran. I need to sun max to the nth degree. But I need low taxes and I need good healthy food. I need like first world standards, but sun max. And I read his tweet, Simon's, about how he tried Spain, but then he was like, fuck this, because it's a nightmare to try and even do business in Spain. Like, as if basically if you're earning indie hacking income, online income internationally, but working from Spain, the taxation, how people are so lethargic with getting anything done, with you just being harassed with like, oh, you didn't, this is how I guess it is anyway, with like, you haven't passed this permit, you haven't done this, to get anything done or delivered. Quite similar to Portugal, how people document online. I have a bunch of like, I know British founders in Portugal who just cry about it all the time and they're looking to leave. So my analysis was always like, I love Bavaria for quality of life, but I think for business policy, it's utter dog shit because it's part of Germany. They should just break it off as Kingdom of Bavaria and vote Bayerisch Party. Yeah, let's vote Bayerisch Party. And then they'll probably want to deport me, but then I'll be like, Badi Madi. But yeah, so point is, like, all this analysis has pretty much led to, as I found, and as Simon confirms as someone who's actually done it, and as Nicola says, which is Switzerland is your main base if you want to be in Europe. Long term, Switzerland is the main base, and then the winters are brutal and cold because it's similar to Bavaria.
Dubai.
Then you go to Dubai because, you get me, Lambo drop top. But yeah, Dubai for the winter, and then summers you could take a month off, go southern Italy or wherever. But I think that's the optimal setup in terms of taxation. But yes, Switzerland then has a problem of, similar to Copenhagen specifically, which is very, very expensive for everything. Very. Switzerland only makes sense if you are a corporate employee earning there, because then you're earning the local salary, so you can spend local as well. Or the second instance, it makes sense if you're not corporate employee, is if you a very high earner from your businesses, like Simon. But if you're like self-employed or early business where you're just about breaking the six-figure mark, etc., it doesn't really make, like, it will be quite a struggle for you to live in Switzerland on like how much everything costs over there. So it's not a great place to start a business, but it's a great place once you've established some good consistent income to go and base yourself there as main base. Such a good place. I think they tried to put a population cap on it recently, but they voted on it. They voted, I think it was like 52 or 54% against it, I think. So they turned against it, which is the beauty of Switzerland, as Taleb writes in one of his books that Iman and I covered, which is all of Switzerland is bottom up, which is it's not top down from some fucking intellectual idiot politician who's never been in the real world or operated a business in his life. It's bottom up, and decisions are made from bottom up. So like you'll have cantons, of course, or tiny villages where there'll be 20 people in a village and they all have to vote on like the most ridiculous tiny thing of like, we want this tree planted here or some shit like that. So that's why it works so successfully. The conclusion is, after analyzing everywhere to live, US is bar none the best place in the world for wealth creation and capitalism, but respectfully, in my view, pretty shit for everything else. And then Europe is, I mean, quality of life, I think Bavaria is top tier. Copenhagen, good quality of life if you just want to be an employee and live not in the center, like you said. You know that we know where like the locals live in Copenhagen, and you want to raise a family and just work in a company, you have an elite quality of life. But again, shit weather, shit mindset, shit policies. And then what are you left with? Well, southern Italy, I wanted to kill myself after like a couple of weeks, because I was like, bro, nothing is getting done here. Like just the energy of the place. Of course, I lock in for a couple of hours on holiday anyway. But still, I was like, fucking hell, this place is impossible to just
No
the
way.
energy of the place.
It is
So
very deprived. Italy in general, as a country, a lot of Italians, from what I gather, are pretty poor actually.
yes,
And
we'll bring on some of these people we've named because they have on the ground insights to these places,
boots on the ground.
boots on the ground.
But yeah, I think in general, like it's across EU. It's
In
like
life, we must choose our regrets.
yeah. Right now, the way I see it is that I actually really rate Americans. Like Americans,
You're in that phase because you're 22, 23. You're locking in hard.
yeah,
That's why you're on that. And you could fuck off to America for a decade and then you come back to Europe and then that's
Yeah.
what you could do.
Yeah,
But then
lo-
by that point, you're too brainwash Americanized and then you won't come back really.
yeah. No, but one thing I was trying to say is that I get really pissed off by like the Americans who come to EU who are like very like annoying, just very annoying to be around sometimes.
What, you mean all of them?
No, but I really rate the Americans in the US actually building shit. Like I have
Of course.
obviously I have a lot of online friends based in SF and whatnot, and every time I talk to them, like you kind of feel a lot more energetic coming out of the conversation.
Of course. Yeah.
Every time I talk to anyone from EU, basically, you kind of just like it's kind of like, okay, what's next?
It's
Like,
decays. Entropy is lethargic. Yeah.
I don't know why they have such a safety net as well. Like a lot of these Europeans I speak to, they're also very much like from well-off families, old money. Especially in Germany, it's very much a place like that. And also EU, Denmark especially. I saw a lot in Denmark. People have pretty loaded. I mean Copenhagen. Sorry, I don't, the rest of Denmark, of course. I was in a bubble. I was in a central bubble, but. I think in general, like I really like the Americans for the scrappiness, and they get so gassed about
Wealth skips generations, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at, I think it's like in US history, look at the Vanderbilt family. I think even inflation adjusted to this day, maybe the most or one of the most wealthy families in all of human history, which is insane. And I think they lost their entire family wealth by the time it got passed down to the third generation, which is the classic case of. I'm trying to find a more politically correct way of saying this. I was going to say very hood way of I'd get cancelled if I was to say that. Comfort creates soy boys, basically.
Soy boys.
Let's put it that way. Comfort causes decay, basically.
Yeah.
So when it goes back to the whole concept of like antifragility, I guess, which is when you've had no positive stresses in your life. And one of the hardest things when I speak to people of like great wealth, the thing they say they struggle with most is how to raise their kids without fucking up the kid. So it's like it's a full-time triple overtime job just working on the kid's mental psyche on how do I not fuck this kid up? How do I get them to work on these little tasks around the house where you earn money for it. Then you learn how hard work works, and it's just like daily non-stop shit. And almost all of them fuck it up. It's very hard.
Yeah.
So wealth skips generations. But yeah, that's basically how it goes, cuz.
I think that's pretty much it on my agenda.
I think that's it. I think there's one more topic. How many minutes has this been rolling?
We have been rolling for 40 seconds.
Yeah, all right, fuck it. I need to go eat shortly, so we'll save the other topics
Fuck
for next
it.
week.
Man's hungry. I've been taking antibiotics, so I have to take my antibiotics in 12 a.m. and I need to eat in an hour because you need to take 2 hours after eating. So
Make sure you take, once the course is done, some probiotics.
I have probiotics. Yes, I have Enterol Plus. No worries.
Say nada, guys.
Say nada. And also
Alright.
kefir.
This show is brought to you by Rational.School, the world's leading tech accelerator. Learn how to hack your tech career and get hired at the world's best tech companies. 500 plus placements, 90% plus placement rate, money back guarantee, by application only, ex-Tesla. This show is also brought to you by us, Parsa.io, the world's leading number uno technical blog on robotics and machine learning, also ex-Tesla.
That's
So
crazy. Don't quote me on the world leading. But show what's done, Gaza. Go on, son.
This show is also brought to you by imanolya.com.
Elite.
When he has some products to plug, that will be updated. And lastly, don't forget this show is at tmbc.now. You can enter your email. If we ever have anything important to say, we'll send it to you.
Technology London Monthly.
tmbc.now. All right.
tmbc.now.
I think that's it, Buddy Mighty.
Say no more, cuz. All right.
All right. Safe man, then.
Safe, man. Have a good one, guys.